Hi friends, and welcome to Solving Inequalities by Multiplying and Dividing. Okay, the same information from yesterday applies to today. So remember, we have, if it's just greater than, or if it's just less than, okay, or if it's or equal to, fill in the dot on that one, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, filled in dot one graph. Okay, so again, today we're multiplying and dividing. Now the big thing we have to remember, this is the one rule that's different with inequalities than with equal signs. Okay, this is super important. Did I say that enough? Because it's really important. Okay, if you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, you must flip the inequality. Okay, it switches direction. This is like the most important thing. If you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative is another key word. Some people, if there's a negative involved anywhere, they flip the sign. Don't do it unless it's the number that you are dividing by. Okay, so what that looks like, this one special instance, it looks like this. If we have negative 7x is less than 28. Okay, do you see the number that we need to divide by is negative? That's a negative 7 there. So we divide by negative 7, divide by negative 7. Those turn into 1 and go away. X is here. We have to flip the inequality. So it changes from being less than to being greater than. And then 28 divided by negative 7 is negative 4. Okay, now some people have asked, well, why, Mrs. Sanford, do we have to do that? Okay, this is what it looks like if we don't divide by, or we try to get rid of the negative a different way. So if we start with negative 7x is less than 28, but we want to make this positive, we can add 7x to both sides. And then we get 0 is less than 7x plus 28. Then we subtract the 28 from both sides. At negative 28 is less than 7x. Then we divide by 7, and we get x is greater than negative 4, or negative 4 is less than x. Okay, that's a lot of work. I don't want to have to do that. So we just remember, when we multiply or divide by a negative, we flip the sign and we don't have to do all this extra work. Okay, and graphing is the same as we were doing yesterday. Okay, so if that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. Okay, it's not or equal to, so it's open. X is greater than, that means it's bigger. So all the stuff that's bigger. There we go. That's the one thing you have to remember that's different between equations and inequalities, is multiplying or dividing by a negative. Let's practice some more variations. Y over negative 4 is greater than or equal, ooh, there was my lid, greater than or equal to 5. Okay, right now to get our variable alone, it's being divided by negative 4, so to undo that, we multiply by negative 4. Now notice I said we're multiplying by negative 4. Multiply by negative 4. That's your clue, your key word. We're going to be flipping that inequality. Y is going to now be less than or equal to negative 20. Okay, hopefully that's starting to click a little. We shall do many more practice problems. Okay, 4 x is less than negative 40. Okay, 4x less than negative 40. To get a variable by itself, we need to divide by 4. Notice we're dividing by a positive number. Even though there's a negative here, the negative up top doesn't mean anything. It's the number you're dividing or multiplying by. This is positive, therefore the sign is going to stay the same. Okay, sign is staying the same on that one because the negative is up there, not the number that we were dividing by. If it was a negative 4 down there, that's when we'd swap it. Words are fun. Let us keep practicing. 6 is greater than or equal to x over 7. 6 is greater than or equal to x over 7. Right now what we have showing is division. So to undo division, we multiply. And so we're going to multiply by 7, multiply by 7. 6 times 7 is 42. Didn't do anything to change the sign and bring the x down. Now, if you feel awkward with your variable being on the right, you can flip everything, but make sure that includes flipping the sign. So it becomes x is less than or equal to 42, which is what it is if you read it backwards. Which I'm sure you're not like, cool, let's read these all backwards. But I'm a math teacher, it's what I do. Okay. Couple more regular practices and then some story problems and we'll be good to go. Okay, we're going to start with k over negative 2 is less than 9. K over negative 2 is less than 9. All right, so right now we have division showing. So to undo division, we're going to multiply and we're multiplying by a negative 2. So ding, 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 that means we're going to be flipping the sign. All right, so those turn into 1. We're left with k. The less than becomes a greater than, and we get negative 18. Ta-da! Mathing. All right. Now, let's see. I'm going to have negative 2/3 g is greater than or equal to 24. We'll call it negative 24. Okay, negative 2/3 g is greater than or equal to negative 24. I just want to remind you how to get rid of fractions, fraction coefficients. Remember, we're going to either divide by 2/3, which is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by negative 3 halves. Okay, so negative 3 halves times negative 2/3 is 1. That goes away. Now the number that we multiplied by is negative, so we have to flip our sign. And then a negative times a negative is positive. We pretend this is over 1, but I'm going to pre-reduce. 2 can go into 24 12 times. 12 times 3 is 36. Okay, so it ends up being g is less than or equal to 36. Alrighty, so hopefully I didn't go through those too fast, or just, watch them again, because you can, because it's a video. Haha, yay for YouTube. All right, next up, let's story problem. I'll show you the story problem. Ling earns $8 per hour working at the zoo. Write and solve an inequality that can be used to find how many hours she must work in a week to earn at least $120. And then interpret the solution. Well, whatever. So $8 per hour. So I'm going to call that 8H. Okay, so I'm going to put 7 here. I'm going to call that $8 per hour. And we want that, it says, that can be used to find how many hours she must work in a week to earn at least $120. Okay, we want this to be the least, the smallest. Okay, but can it be 120? Yes, I think it can. I feel like it can. Okay, so that's the hardest part right there, is translating. Okay, solving, we don't have any negatives involved, so we're not going to be flipping any signs. We just have to divide by 8, divide by 8. 8 goes into 12 one time, and with 4 left over, and then 8 goes into 45 times. So she needs to work for at least 15 hours to make $120. All right, last one. Okay, at a baseball game, you can get a single hot dog for $2. You know, this is the important stuff at baseball games, right? Right. Okay, at a baseball game, you can get a single hot dog for $2. You have $10 to spend, right? And solve an inequality to find the number of hot dogs you can buy and interpret the solution. Now, I know you can do this in your head, but we're practicing with easier ones so that we know how to do the work when we're doing more difficult problems. So again, $2 for a hot dog. So $2 for a hot dog, and we have $10 to spend. Can we spend $10? Yes, we can. Okay, but we don't want to spend over $10. So that's going to be the most that we're going to spend. Okay, so then we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. H is less than or equal to 5. So the most we could buy is 5 hot dogs. Could we buy 4 and be okay? Sure. Could we buy 3 and be okay? Sure. Okay, so that's kind of how this all works out. Again, the big thing to remember with inequalities is if you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative, you must flip the inequality. So it goes from here to here or here to here. Okay, that's the big thing to remember. Good luck, have fun, make good choices. See you later.